So how are we doing, Kelly?
Good to go, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And first of all, welcome to you all. And you have with the meeting package, the agenda. And so we'll start with the call to order. And I will do that now. And I will ask if someone would please make a motion to approve the agenda as circulated.
I so move, David.
Thank you, David. Seconder.
I'll second it.
Thank you, John. And I won't call for the vote. Anyone concerned or have objections to approving the agenda as circulated? Hearing none, I will take it as approved, and we'll move on to number 3 on the agenda, which is conflict of interest. Does anyone, having reviewed the agenda, wish to declare a conflict of interest with regard to any of the items? Okay, then I take that as no conflicts of interest. Moving right along, number 4, and it's a staff report and proposed amendment to the PRAC bylaw. The question I have is, we have both Brett and Lonnie here. And by the way, Brett, your first meeting as the acting ED. So welcome in that capacity.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure, are you Brett or Lonnie presenting the proposed amendment to the PRAC bylaw?
I think, Mr. Chair, I'll be presenting the staff report, and then we may need Lonnie, to answer some questions if the committee has any.
Okay, perfect. Then if you wanted to proceed, Brett.
All right, thank you. So the issue at hand, first of all, I apologize for having to organize this meeting sort of on short notice. In an ideal world, we would have dealt with this at the same time as we dealt with policy FIN 03. But the issue essentially is that the expense and per diem rates for PRAC, for the Planning and Review Adjustment Committee members, are now dissimilar to those rates that are being used for the RSC board members as well as members of the standing committees. The background of this is that PRAC has its own bylaw that deals with those. And so by dealing with the original policy or the compensation issues through policy FIN 03, we kind of left PRAC out of it. Now we've got this inconsistent approach, and we'd like to address that through the recommendations that are included in the package, which you all have. You'll see in the following page the recommended changes. Obviously, the key change would be reference to FIN 03, and that will ensure consistency across all of the standing committees, as well as the board members and staff within the commission.
Okay, then. So before I ask for any questions of either Brett or Lonnie, would somebody please make a motion to move to recommend to the board the motions, I guess, presented in the staff report. So again, looking for a motion.
I'll move that.
Thank you, John. Seconder for the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. And therefore we have motion moved and seconded. And so do we have any questions of either Brett or Lonnie with regard to the motion? And again, it was circulated with the package for the meeting. Then hearing no questions of either Lonnie or Brett, then I call the question on the motion, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded, nay. I declare the motion carried. And so thank you, Brett, and Lonnie, you got off easy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Things are probably going to get a little tougher for you too, Brett. I hate to say, as things proceed, go forward. Not necessarily during this meeting, but generally speaking.
Oh, it's
Anyway.
gonna be a fun year, Mr. Chair. I've got a feeling.
I'd say interesting is probably an understatement. Interesting times.
Absolutely.
So with that, thank you both, and we'll move on then to number 5 on the agenda. And actually 5A is really just to make sure that the report, the draft report of our last meeting of this committee, as well as the proposed amendment to the procedural bylaw is consistent with your recollections of our last meeting. I would feel much more comfortable, in fact, would prefer to present the report to the board and the motion to the board, having had the board, having had the opportunity, the committee having the opportunity to review it and express concerns. So has anyone got any questions, concerns with regard to the report and the draft amendment to the proposed amendment to go to the board February 1st, I believe it is? Any questions or concerns? Okay, if not, then I'll take it as we're good to go, and that will be part of the package for the February 1st board meeting. 5B is simply similar, in fact, to what was presented and approved for the PRAC bylaw amendment, and it is really a consequential amendment flowing from the last meeting of the board, where Appendix C was repealed, and the only provision in the procedural bylaw that referred to Appendix C was in fact 9.1, and therefore the amendment is intended to, as a consequence of that repeal of Appendix C, to just make it consistent now, refer to the new resolution of the board, which is FIN 03. And so I think, Brett, you had that as a staff report. Is there anything you'd like to add to that? Or is it just simply a matter of we'll call for a motion to, I guess, recommend to the board that change to 9.1?
Mr. Chair, I do. I think that it's as simple as that. Yeah. No, we just have to make that addition to the recommendations that are delivered to the board in on February 1st.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I'll call for motion for the approval of the proposed amendment to 9.1 of the procedural bylaw. A motion?
I so move, David.
Thank you, David. Seconder?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. And I'll call the question. Well, I'll ask if there's any questions of, I'll put you on the spot, Brett, regarding the proposed amendment. And again, hearing none, I'll just.
I have
call
a
the
question.
Oh, certainly.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
sir.
Yeah. When we dealt with this before, did we not have this as floating? Right. This is not going to be cut and dried until the next motion, right? Until it's approved to another level. Isn't this going to be flexible every year? Isn't that what we voted on?
Well, I think, and again, I'll ask Brett if he recalls.
The reason I asked that
Okay.
is because when I got the notice, it has all the prices on it.
Okay.
So is that just for the time being, and then when with inflation it'll just increase higher, or we keep doing this every time that there's an increase?
Well,
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot, Brett. Because I'm
thanks,
not familiar with Finn, the what was approved at the last meeting of the board was, and you've referred to it as Fin 03, so financial policy 03. And I'm vaguely remembering that it was in fact, and I think Kelly, you circulated it for this meeting just earlier this morning. What it does float, I believe, doesn't it, Brett?
Well, Mr. Chair and David, I the way I read it, I don't see that it does float. It does have an effective date, obviously, of January 1st, 2022, and but it also speaks to the fact that it's for the year in question. So the implication when I look at Fin 03 is that it's subject to review on an annual basis. I see Kelly nodding. Now she's saying no. Kelly,
Do you mind if I speak, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
Fin
Please.
03. Yeah, it does have a line in there that refers to it will automatically adjust every year with staff salary ranges. So if you read
Okay.
further down in policy Fin 03, second paragraph up, it makes it so we don't have to do this every year.
That's what I thought.
Okay. So David, is that it? We're good on that then? David? We're okay then?
I had to go on mute because the other phone's ringing. So, yeah, no, that's
Okay.
fine. That's fine. That's what I thought. So,
Okay, yeah.
just wanted
And-
to clarify that.
No, it's good to be clear, and the amendment to the bylaw itself, 9.1, wouldn't have to be reviewed. If there were any adjustments periodically, it would have to be in Fin 03 itself, and Kelly's clarified that it is automatic at this point. So, okay.
Yep.
And so I'll, again, any questions of either Brett or I guess Kelly? So if not, then I'll call a question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And contrary minded, nay. I declare the motion carried. And so that will be presented to the board on February the 1st. Just as a general observation, I will be working with Kelly and Brett to come up with a report of this meeting in which these motions, the amendment to the PrAC bylaw, as well as 9.1 of the procedural bylaw, and we'll have a report drafted and with draft motions for the February 1st meeting. I'd like to again circulate that before it goes as part of the package for the board meeting and give you the opportunity to say if you have any concerns with that report. So hopefully I'll have an opportunity to get that out, and we'll have Kelly get that out to you guys. I'm not sure when, by the 1st of next week. Would that be in time, Kelly?
The board package is set to go out next Tuesday,
Next Tuesday. Okay, well then,
so we'll have to do it fairly quickly.
yeah, okay, then fair enough. It shouldn't be too hopefully challenging to draft something and get it out here in the next day or so. And that would be the deadline we're working towards. Now, the last item on the agenda is sort of open-ended. And I don't know if any member has anything they'd like to raise for discussion. And I'm not sure if there would be anything coming out of it that would be direction to staff. The only thing that I would, I guess, refer to is the last meeting and the expectation that we would have a transition leader sometime in January, and that the executive director would be meeting with that transition leader and then having met with that transition leader, report back to this committee to see what impact the reforms in the transition might have on on governance of the commission, and then what this committee might recommend to the board in that regard. The memo from the acting deputy minister was circulated, and it doesn't really tell us a lot about what's coming. I will put Brad on the spot. And perhaps John as chair on the spot as far as anything in addition to what was in the memo that you might be able to report to the committee.
Mr. Chair, no, I received that memo last night.
Okay.
It went out. The only thing I can say is that Maurice Robichaud has been selected as the transition facilitator, and I expect that he and I and Brett will meet in the very near future. He's got a huge mandate and a short time to do it. 12 months goes by very quickly. And actually, it's not 12 months because he has to get ready for our elections when in October. So I think it's, as Brett said earlier, it's going to be interesting. It's certainly going to be, interesting is a good word, because the information coming out from the department seems to be in dribs and drabs. I'm not sure why, but that's the way it seems to be. And so I think we have to keep an open mind as we move forward. But at the reality at the end of the day, there's only, I counted, there's probably 5 of us of the existing board that will be in place with the new board because of the effects of the regionalizer, I guess the amalgamations, or however, regionalizations, I don't know what word they want to use, coming up. So it's like there's just 5 of us, and then I'm sure there's going to be more come back or more be elected, but that's kind of the case right now. So we'll see how that all spins out. But I expect to be meeting with Maurice, Brett, and I in the next probably next 2 or 3 days. I expect he'll be on board pretty quickly.
Okay. And Brett, do you anything to add or?
No, Mr. Chair, I think John summed it up well. There are a lot of uncertainties at this point, but I mean, obviously, when we find out more, we'll be sharing that with both the committee and the board.
Okay. Okay. And does anyone else have any issues that they'd like to raise at this point for discussion? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Also move.
Okay.
I almost
you seem quite eager. I detected some eagerness.
I was in my car coming up the highway trying to figure out where I was going to be meeting from. So.
And you found a
I
spot.
found a warm spot. So.
Okay. Anyway, I don't think we need a seconder or a vote on that. So I will declare the meeting adjourned, and thank you all. And keep an eye out in the next day or so for a draft report for your review. Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
thank you. I guess we're done, Kelly.
Thanks, guys.